This hangout is live. Thank you for joining us on OreAni, the end of 2015 summer season. We people here at the Anime Talk community on Google Plus are here to share our thoughts on the end of the season. We got a small crew with us. We got Jessica.
Hello.
And we got Sean.
Yep.
And of course, me, Tenkkun. So today, we're going to start off with uh, Roka no Yusha. And let's see, how should we talk about this show? I, for one, wanted to say I was disappointed with this. Um, from how it started, the first three episodes, it had a nice pace, I thought. It was moving pretty well. They were traveling pretty quickly to get to the Demon Lord, so I was hoping for this whole demon fight. And then this whole, spoiler alert if anyone's watching here, this whole like 8 episodes was all about trying to find out who the seventh hero was, and it drove me crazy. I don't know why they had to keep it going for so long, and I thought it would only last 3 episodes or so, and the only reason I kept on watching it was because I was hoping to see who they would find out and see if it was who I guessed, and I was wrong. But it I feel like it dragged on so long that it killed it for me. And then at the way it ended, you still have a seventh, and it pissed or the yeah seventh, and it pissed me off still. Like not this again. But I will admit some of the stories in the middle were really nice, especially with the main hero. What's his name again?
Adlet. Adlet Meyer.
Yeah. His childhood and everything to become the strongest man was great, but I I don't know this. I don't know if I'll continue this if this is still going on. What about you, Jessica?
I really liked this one. It was one of my favorites of the season just because of the Mesoamerican setting, which is one we rarely see in anime, and having a closed room mystery be in a temple in the forest. So I was pretty into it and trying to deduce who the seventh brave was, but I was wrong. So I liked that though, because all of the clues were there from the beginning, but they had a lot of red herrings, so that when you finally do find out who it is, it should take you by surprise. I was very disappointed with the last episode though, of just having another brave show up, so we're right back where we started. We still have 7 braves, and one of them is a traitor, and we're going off to fight the Demon Lord. So there's really no conclusion at all to this story, and I hope that they have a second series or something so that we can figure out what's going to happen. But all in all, I liked it, although it doesn't have much rewatchability because, like you were saying, once you are stuck there for the 8 episodes or whatever, trying to figure out who it is and you already know who it is, I don't think it would be very entertaining on a second viewing.
The only thing I think if it was going to be a second viewing, which I have watched a few times, because I did like the story about Adlet and
Mm-hmm.
his growing up and his him telling the story when he's in the when he's was wounded at the very beginning and telling how he
Yeah.
grew up. That was a really nice story. I really like that. I'm kind of hoping if I do continue this or it does continue.
Oh, are you there?
call this again? Akagami Yukihime or Snare. What did you think of this?
Hey, Tenkkun, you blanked out for like the past minute, and you were just blank, and now you're sort of coming back, but your voice sounds like a robot.
Hmm.
You're talking about Shirai Yukihime? Are you still there?
What's going on? Do I have lag or is it Jessica?
Are you back?
I can hear you now, okay?
Who back? Me? Now, Jessica?
It's one of the final five.
So, Jessica, did you want to give your thoughts on this Snow White
Oh,
show?
on this one,
Oh,
I'm really
I was
not.
almost ready for my intermission.
Aw.
There we go. Intermission with what's her name?
Miku?
Not Miku. Bootleg Miku. This is from that Mogu Mogu Yuna-chan thing.
Oh.
I installed on my phone like 5 years ago. Never uninstalled it.
It keeps on crashing on my phone.
Hmm.
It's unfair. I tried to
That
play it
sucks.
like 2 days ago. So back to us, Snow White.
This one I'm not really sure what to think about. I really like the characters, especially Shirayuki. She's not your typical shoujo heroine in that she's actually smart and skilled at something and has a personality other than clumsy dits. I really like her, and I really like the supporting cast and Zen, but I don't feel that the story really does her justice. Is that it almost feels like the whole thing is a bunch of filler episodes strung together where there's no grand plot moving forward. We're just spinning our wheels and doing the same thing all the time. But it's a beautiful show. The colors are exquisite, music is gorgeous. It's really well animated, especially for a shoujo. With what few fights there are, they're really smooth. So I don't know what to think about this one.
Yeah, it was interesting for me. Even it was being a shoujo show, I was able to keep on watching it. At the beginning, it was kind of annoying because it was the whole she get kidnapped, we save her. She get kidnapped, we save her.
Mhm.
So is that the rhythm of the show? She gets kidnapped and then she gets saved by Prince? Is it a... She's sort of juggling suitors the whole time?
No, she only has the one suitor,
That
really.
it just happened to me.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me fine, Sean?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so
Tenkkun just... He blanked out.
hmm.
Is it me that's having the connection problems?
Mm-hmm. Try saying something again.
Hello?
Yep. Yeah, that was weird. It sounds like you're back. I don't know, try talking about anime. Not happening.
Anime.
Excellent.
feel like there's a large delay when I see something.
Hmm.
So did we happen?
I didn't hear anything you said regarding my question. So she gets kidnapped a lot?
Oh,
She has one suitor, but she gets kidnapped a lot, and then she has to get rescued a lot?
She does pretty well on her own. That's one of the things I like about her, is she gets kidnapped for the second time, and she manages to escape her captor and trap him in the cell that she was in.
Hmm.
So she's very resourceful and smart. Um, the prince did come in at the very end to provide some much-needed muscle, but she did the most of the work. It's just we then go off on a tangent about her taking the herbalist exam, and then there's birds that we have to train to send messages in around the castle and the country. And then the last episode was it's Open Castle Day, which is basically school festival day. So it really, like I said, it has a lot of great characters, but the story is so mundane. It just, I feel sorry for the characters, really,
Hmm.
because they could be so much more.
Yeah, weird.
if anything, I would almost say that if for the way she explained it, the 11th episode would be the best for the conclusion of this series.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that 11th episode really got me. I was like, I'm so happy for them. But,
Yeah, the room did get a little bit dusty, I will confess.
but throughout the show, yeah, it's interesting and nice, strong character. It was pretty fun. Shall we head to the next title?
Sure.
Or would you say you recommend this? Or
Um, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to be watching it in January when it comes on again. I just have such mixed feelings about it.
Oh, there's going to be more of it?
Yes.
Man, the director needs to be making Under the Dog, not working on this thing.
all right, let's head to the next title, which we have on the list. Gangsta. I have some friends that I told about this show, and they love it. They can't get enough of it. They said they sat down and watched all the episodes at once.
It certainly has mainstream appeal. If I was going to get someone into animation or Japanese animation, I'd probably start with this.
So now, unfortunately, I kind of dropped the ball and didn't watch anything after the whole, I think episode 7 or 8, because then they had like this point 0.5 or something, and then
Oh, yeah.
so that was like a week without a new episode. Then they had so after that whole thing, I kind of fell off and didn't continue watching. But this is definitely something I'm going to continue and complete. I have friends that have been reading the manga, and they said it's been really, uh, there's not. It's one of those things you have to watch, I would say.
So does this show deviate a lot from the manga?
Well, I haven't read the manga. My friends have, but he says whenever I was telling him about certain scenes, he's like, "Oh yeah, I read that in the book. Oh yeah, that was in the book, or this happened." So I don't know. I don't think there'll be too much differences, but um, then again, sometimes the manga will shift the order or of how the story's told. So even though some of the scenes may be the same, it's probably told differently in a manga. But I would have to read it to find out.
This one is
But
pretty cool. One thing that I find interesting is the pacing, is that even though it's an action show, it seems very sedate in its pace, but not in a bad way. Even in the fight scenes, the music isn't fast. It has very slow beats, and I'm not a musical person, so I can't describe that accurately, but almost all of the music has a very strong, steady, slow beat, like a heartbeat, almost. It never picks up very quickly. And so the spotlight is on the characters and their motivations and their backstories rather than the action. But it's not a boring show at all. It's directed very well, in my opinion. And the music certainly matches up to what's going on in certain scenes. I would recommend this one, definitely, especially for people that have never watched anime before. It'd be a good gateway drug.
I agree with you about the music. The music was really great in the show. It really stood out to me. If I remember correctly, it almost felt like a lot of it was kind of jazzy.
Yeah, I would say that that would be a good way to describe it too, because jazz sort of does its own thing in its own time, and that's exactly what Gangsta is about. It's going to show you what it shows you when it shows you, and it's not in a hurry to get there. There's one scene, maybe it's in episode 10, so I don't think you've seen it, but Warwick has to set off a flare at a certain time, and the music's very intense, but again slow. And right at the point where he finally gets to shoot the flare and it pops up, the music just ramps up and has a real strong chord right at the same time that the firecracker goes off. And it's really cool. It makes you, it gives you goosebumps. It's that well directed.
Mm-hmm. So, once again, I mentioned this at the beginning. This is a really good show for younger people. If you do watch this, it has a lot of adult-themed content in it. But very highly recommendable for anyone above, I would say, almost 17 or 16.
What's your take on the opening and the imagery and stuff there? I just have no idea what it means.
Oh, I don't watch open endings.
Oh, okay. Or how it relates. Okay, that's random.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes the opening endings spoil the show for you or give you a certain concept or a certain. Like, I did see a little bit of the opening, like where they showed the three girls.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this show going to have them? And I started thinking about
Nope.
that. And I'm like, no, just don't think about the opening. Don't watch it. And I just skip forward. But I did see those three girls because it always plays at the first beginning. But I'm like, I don't know who those are, what's going to happen. I don't know the rest of the opening.
They don't make an appearance in the show as far as I can see. It's very strange.
Well, maybe because of the manga they're there, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and give Sean some time here. I haven't seen this show at all. What is this? Gatchaman Crowds?
Gatchaman Crowds Insight. It's the who has seen it? Nobody. Or it's just the Sean show. So there's a sequel to Gatchaman Crowds, and Gatchaman Crowds original, that was a show about political ideas. It was a very optimistic kind of show. It was bravely optimistic, and it showed Japan being transformed by technology, like politically transformed, economically transformed, society was transformed. It was really interesting. It was like a counterpoint to the pessimism of The Social Network, for example. Where the Social Network was about like the sort of like corrupt, sad people making this corrupt and sad network, spreading their sadness with technology. Gatchaman Crowds had a sort of Mark Zuckerberg, but he wanted to change the world, and he did, or at least he changed Japan. His phrase was "update the world," and he succeeded in doing that. And Gatchaman Crowd's Insight is more of a cautionary tale. It's more pessimistic, but it's still optimistic. in the sense that it doesn't just wallow in pessimism, but the story of it, like its main political thrust is that technology can make things more convenient. It can make things more streamlined. It can cut out some of the bureaucracy. But what we shouldn't let it do is make us lazy. And Insight was all about how the technology is becoming so convenient that people are starting to become lazy. They're not thinking about politics. They're not having political ideas anymore. And they're giving in to the zeitgeist. You know, so this is a concept that is pretty important to Japanese culture. They call it the atmosphere, the kuki or whatever. And it was also it was also a big concept in Yurikuma Arashi. Like that was all about like that you're giving into the atmosphere, you're going with the flow. And you know, if the flow says doing this thing is right, then you just go do it. And so in Gotchaman Crowd's Insight, technology became so, like politics became so streamlined and so easy that people just stopped having political ideas. They didn't want to struggle anymore. They didn't want to have political conflict. And then and therefore they just gave in to the atmosphere, as they called it. And then, you know, and because it's an anime and because it's about space aliens and whatnot, what happens in Insight is that these weird abstract monsters start appearing in Japan, and they are the enforcers of the atmosphere. They're like the atmosphere manifested, and they started eating people. They started swallowing people who didn't conform to the national zeitgeist. And then the gotcha men, who are the heroes, they see this happening, and then, you know, they have this struggle because like there's no real villain in the story. The villain is everyone, you know, and then they have this, there's this puzzle, like how do we undo the atmosphere and how do we make people politically motivated again? So it's a really interesting story. You know, I was really skeptical of this sequel. Like, how can they make a sequel to a show as like inspired as Gotchaman Crowds? And yeah, it pulled it off. You know, it's an interesting counterpoint to Gotchaman Crowds. And I like that they had you know, at first I thought it was about direct democracy because that's the political system that they put in place. But of course, direct democracy doesn't work. Like, we know this. Just look at history. You know, there's a reason why we have representatives instead of voting directly on every single issue. Anyway. But then it took that to the next level because the direct democracy that they had in place gave rise to the domination of the atmosphere. And they made a really interesting connection in one of the later episodes, saying like this is how Japan fell into World War II, because there was this war frenzy. That was just the atmosphere, like we have to invade more countries, we have to make Japan, the Japanese Empire, even greater. And everyone just said okay, you know, until everything was on fire. And so there's a peril to just giving into the atmosphere. And I thought that was a really interesting insight, a really interesting connection that they made.
Is it the same staff working on Inside as the first one?
I don't know. I feel like the animation got better. Like maybe they found some better lead animators. I think the CG, the computer animation is actually really, really good. Like way better than the 2D animation. The 3D animated fight scene is awesome. I think that was done by Kamikaze Doga. Like they did the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure CG openings, and they generally do awesome stuff. The director is the same. Like there's no other director who can make something like Gotchaman Crowd's Insight. Like he makes the most interesting anime premises, and he always wants to. He wants to like bring really sophisticated ideas and convey them in the format of TV anime, and that's why I really like him. And he did it again with Crowd's Insight. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about it. Like I love the story and the ideas of Crowd's Insight. I'm still kind of iffy about the aesthetics of it because it's kind of garish. Some of the characters are kind of annoying, but that's just how it is. That's how it's always been. But yeah, I think this was my favorite thing of the whole season. That's all I have to say about Crowd's Insight, unless anyone has questions.
Not too many questions, but you definitely have to watch the first season, right?
Yeah, watch the first season. The first season might be a struggle to get through because the animation can get like so crappy looking sometimes, but the story is so exciting. So it's really worth it watching the first season if you're into this sort of thing. And you should watch the first season before watching the second one. Otherwise, you'll be really confused.
Yeah, I remember trying to watch Scrapbooking Girl, whatever her name was.
Oh, yeah, Hajime.
But it killed
Hajime?
it for me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's loud and garish like everything else in the show, but like over time you sort of get her. You get what she stands for. And at the end of the first season she evolves into a more interesting character because she becomes this duality where she represents both the promise and the peril of internet culture, like all within herself. So once you sort of understand what she's about and what she represents, then she's actually a pretty interesting protagonist. And you sort of hang on to her every word and her every insight, because sometimes she can be very cryptic.
All right. So that was Gutchman Crowd's Insight.
Hmm.
Go ahead and move on to the next title, which I'm surprised anyone watched. Oharu and Kikanji, the next step in, what do you call this again?
Airsoft?
Airsoft?
It's the third one that I know of. The third anime series that revolves around airsoft.
Yeah.
I ended
What?
up dropping this.
Wait, what were the other ones? There was that Gynax one
Yeah, there
about the
was
club.
Stella Joe, and then there was Saba Gebu.
Okay. Yeah, survival game club. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ended up dropping this show, but what did you think?
I liked it. It was sort of a guilty pleasure, I guess. The heroine is very interesting. She's a cross-dresser. Doesn't really say why. I guess she just likes dressing as a boy better than dressing as a girl. And she has a moral compass that always points true north. And so after many anime-style hijinks, she gets placed on this airsoft team. And their goal is to win at the TCG, which is the best airsoft tournament in Japan, because you've got to be the best at everything. And what I found was really interesting is that in most sports shows like this, there's the big tournament, and it's usually at the end, and usually they win, or if they lose, it's still they had a good time, and we all go home and learn valuable life lessons. But in this one, the tournament's in the middle of the series, and spoilers, they go and they lose, but they lose brutally. I mean, it was hard to watch because their opponents tortured them mentally and physically in this game. And it went into a very dark place for one of the male leads. And so the rest of the series is about him picking up the pieces of his life basically after this terrible ordeal and trying to find his love of the game again. So it was very interesting and didn't go in the direction that I anticipated at all, and for that I give it props. And I think that's really all I have to say about it.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I dropped this, and I don't know. I just couldn't find it interesting anymore like the others. I was able to watch all the other ones, but this one just couldn't keep me interested. At the beginning, when she was getting her gun, that was kind of fun. Or the games didn't really seem that well made out. So I don't know.
No,
I ended up dropping.
it's certainly slow in the beginning. And I'm not really sure what demographic this is supposed to be for at all. Because there aren't any cute girls, but it's not really a Fujoshi type thing because the lead is a heroine who dresses like a boy, who's with two other cute guys. So, I don't know. It's very odd, and I don't think I would recommend this one even though I really liked it, just because it's so weird.
All right.
Appears to be shonen, is the manga anyway.
Oh, shonen. Okay.
I did not see that. So shall we head to the next title?
Mhm.
All right. So here's a title that kind of, I was like, what the? At the end, let me see here. Where's that title card? There we are. Gate. It ended on a terrible note, I think.
So I actually haven't seen the last 15 minutes of the last episode. You can go ahead and spoil it. I don't care.
They all die.
What is the nature of this TV show in terms of like its broadcast schedule? Is it going to continue? Like next week, is there going to be another Gate episode, or is there going to be a big break? It's going to run.
I believe there's
like, it's going to run 2 quarters. At least that's what Wikipedia says. It's going to be 20-something episodes.
Oh. Huh.
All I know is that I was like, what? How could you end at this point?
Yeah, there wasn't any, next episode preview or anything like that, so I just figured it was done at 12 episodes. I don't want it to
That's
be.
what I thought too, because I think they might be resting a core.
Yeah, it could be one of those things. Yeah, that's weird. Wikipedia says it's going to be 20-something episodes. Anime News Network says it's 12. So I don't know. If it's popular, they'll make more of it.
It certainly didn't conclude anything. It just sort of left us there. I do have a question for you guys. Would you classify Gate as being nationalistic in tone?
I spent the whole series trying to determine what the point of Gate was, and I couldn't figure it out. Because like I want it to be something more than just like this pseudo-nationalistic, just wish-fulfilling fantasy adventure thing. The dude goes on adventures and builds a ever larger harem of magical girls, fantasy girls. I don't know. It's hard to say if it's nationalistic because it's hard to know what its tone is. There was that whole they had that whole escapade where the fantasy girls go to Japan, and then they were on the run. Like everybody wanted to get them. The Russians and the Chinese and the Americans all had special forces trying to kidnap them, and Japan in particular, because the prime minister was corrupt or something. Like America had dirt on him that they allowed the Americans to attempt a kidnapping. So it was kind of pessimistic against everyone. Just like, oh, everyone's bad. But beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what the point of Gate was. It had a lot, like, I thought there was going to be a point, like, because there's so much gravitas in Gate. The violence is depicted in a way that is shocking. Like, but I don't know. I don't know what point it was trying to make. Like, it gets weird when you don't know what the point of it is, but there's all this shocking violence, and you're like, is this just entertainment? Is this just for entertainment value? Or,
It almost seemed like a recruitment video for otaku, as a joke in some ways of join the self-defense force and you too will be surrounded by a bevy of cat-eared girls and things. But I often wonder if maybe the protagonist just hit his head and this is all in his imagination. Because he's going to the con and he walks into the telephone pole, and that's when the flying dragons come out of the gate and start killing people. So I really hope that it doesn't end with, and it was all just a dream, because that would be lame.
you should totally do that.
No.
All right, just real quick, I did find that the second season, or which would cover the flame mark, in winter 2016. So we'll have to wait the whole season before we get the continuation.
Okay.
Taking a break in fall and then coming back in the winter. Okay.
I can deal with that.
Yeah, and another very confused about is it listed that the source came from a light novel, and I wanted to read about it to see where this is going, and I could not find it at all. But there's a manga made, and I recently found it. I haven't read it, but the drawing styles are so different. It's kind of weird, but hopefully I can read that and see what's going on.
This one was a bit of a surprise, as on just the premise alone I wasn't really interested in watching it, and then the previous Hangout, it got rave reviews, and so I gave it a try, and I'm glad I did, because it's a lot of fun. And the fight scenes are pretty cool.
Gate, right?
Yeah, Gate.
Yeah. It works as entertainment.
Mhm.
I wish it were something more, and I feel like it should be something more, but as just entertainment, like anime entertainment, then it's alright. It's neat. But I wish it were more subversive somehow. Like I wish it wasn't just like this fantasy adventure power trip thing.
Well, we have one more season to look forward to in a few months, so hopefully we'll get some answers, or they'll change, or they're going and make us all happy. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh, this show I wanted to talk about. No, it's not because it was good that I wanted to talk about this Jitsu wa Watashi wa, which, how do you explain it? It's one of those harem type school anime shows, that you have everywhere else. And of course, the characters all the girls are unique in their own way. One's an alien, one's a vampire, one has glasses that are possessed by some spirit. The teacher's a demon, or the principal's a demon. And you have all these problems, and of course, the male, which is a human, is in love with the vampire girl. And due to miscommunications and everything's just going all over the place. Now, I believe there's... Whoa.
Sorry, that was my alarm.
But, I found myself actually watching every single episode, and although I can't recommend it, it seems like a show that is very typical and has no rewatch value, but it's just... I don't know. I just got stuck watching it, and I really want to know if anyone else is watching it and could say this is good. But
No, I didn't even try the first episode.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but
It's like a bag of potato chips. They're not really good for you, and they might not even taste all that great, but once you open it, you can't stop until you've hit the bottom.
yeah, maybe that's it. But there's still one more episode to go on, and I'm hoping it ends in a tragic way, so it's really fun for me. But if it ends all happy and stuff, then I'm going to say I wasted 12 episodes of my life. But unless you love harem, it's not really ecchi too much. So it's just a typical harem monster girl show. Watch it if you can, or probably just watch it once. Next up is, I guess, what was it? Sean's second favorite show this season, or at least he talked about it.
Shimoneta Time Lord.
Yeah, this long title. Shimoneta to you. Okay, I'm not even going to continue the rest of it.
Shimoneta to you gainen ga sonzai shinai taikutsu na sekai. Something like a boring world where dirty jokes don't exist, or something like that. And I talked about this in the last hangout. I think a lot of my sentiments remain the same. It's a it's a dumb show. It has a lot of ecchi stuff in it, but it has a dash, just a dash of social commentary that is actually pretty interesting. And I don't know. I feel like if I start talking about this, I'll just say the same stuff that I said last time. But I enjoyed it. 3 out of 4 stars. It was alright. It's pretty alright JC Staff comedy thing. I liked that the humor was just super dumb. It was like I like shows that aren't pretentious, and you could say that Shimoneta might be pretentious, but I think when it does the social commentary stuff, it actually hits the mark more than it misses. And then when it does its stupid humor, it's real stupid. So, which is good. So.
The only thing I would have to say to this is that if you watch the first 3 episodes and figure that's the way it is, you're going to be in for a surprise, because I swear after that 3 episodes, every single character changes.
Yeah,
to the strangest way.
Yeah, there is this moment where a lot of characters who you think are fixed, they get twisted, really twisted. The one in particular, very, very twisted. And then it at that moment, it becomes awesome.
Does it make sense within the context of the show that they change?
Yeah, it does, because one of the characters who changes, she's kind of a Yamato Nadeshiko, which is it's kind of a character archetype. It's the ideal Japanese woman, is what that means. Even though, what is she like, half Russian or something? But anyway, she's like the primary love interest of the main character, who is a dude. And she is, as a Yamato Nadeshiko, she is the ideal Japanese woman. She embodies all these ideals of being refined and innocent and so on and so forth. But then when she has her like sexual awakening, and because she lives in this society where there's no sex ed whatsoever, like that, it's just clean as a whistle, as much as they can make society. Like porn is just banned. You can't get any dirty stuff. There's no erotica. You can't say bad words. You can't talk about sex ed. No, everything's in euphemism. No, nobody knows how sex actually works. When she has her sexual awakening, she does not know what to do, and she just goes crazy. And she becomes like this crazy, like, stalker, rapist, just worst nightmare. And it is so awesome, like. And it's interesting because, like, those are And then the show makes this connection where, because we have these ideals for, like, for example, what women should be, that we've created this environment where this woman becomes the exact opposite. So like that's really interesting. It makes this connection of like we put innocence on too high of a pedestal, and because we've done that, we've created this corrupt society. So it's really interesting, because both the censors do that, like people who think that society should be more like uncorrupted and pure, but also that's also like one of the big aspects of otaku culture is that we we have reverence for purity and innocence, and we celebrate those things. But if you try to create a society that is pure and innocent, you will end up doing the opposite, make a society that is dysfunctional and unhappy and has no morals. You try to create the most moral society, but then the opposite happens. So that twist in Chimoneta, which happens around maybe episode 4 or 5, it's awesome. That's all I have to say about it.
I had to jump on, watch it, and then I swear some of those were kind of cringy scenes. You're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Or, Is he, he is he gonna be safe? But another thing I kind of wanted to point out was they have a lot of. You were talking about censorship, and they have a version out there that's uncensored that you can watch. It's a few episodes behind. But
Really?
I didn't really see any difference, and it's not like they uncensored the language or anything. Like just some of the pictures they would have like censor stickers on, uncensored version.
Yeah.
It's really nothing all that in a girl's breast, but or just sitting on top of it. It's nothing really big, but
I think it's funnier when it's censored. So the censorship is funny, because she's saying all these bad words, and then they get replaced by all these like donk and ding and cartoon sound effects. It just makes it even funnier. It just makes the show even dumber.
yeah, but I didn't really see too much of a difference between the two, so you could just go and watch the normal version.
Yeah, that's interesting to know. Like I feel like if they took a lot of the censorship out, it would actually lose some comedic value. So that's interesting to know that like censorship is part of it. It is part of the show.
Okay. You had any other questions, Jessica? Or?
Mm-mm.
Okay, what was the next title we got? Oh, this one. The only reason I wanted to bring this one up was because I just wanted to tell people it's not worth watching right now. Churebru the second.
Not worth
So,
watching right now. Too much censorship.
I mean, there's certain scenes where it's like all black and you see is just in the censoring, and they use it any playful skills like in a few other shows. It's just black, light, and also
Hey,
the
Tenkkun, you kind of you blanked out again. I didn't catch what you
style.
said for the last 30 seconds. I think you said something
I'm
about
just saying,
the scenes blanking out. Like, is that just too much censorship? Scene just goes black?
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's just terrible. I mean, And also the setup in some of the scenes were just so bad. Like, oh, look what I bought for as a toy for Celine, and then you're like, oh my god, with that shape and that, you know something bad's gonna happen.
Oh.
And of course something happens, and you're like, wow.
So is it the censorship that makes it bad, or is it just all around
But you don't see
bad?
any of it because of all the black.
Oh.
So it's because if you're watching it, you know what you're watching it for. It's the censorship. This is just not worth it. Wait for the Blu-rays. Go get your Blu-ray copies, and then have fun. That's all I want to say about it. And the next title we got. What is this, Charlotte? What did you guys think of the last episode?
I haven't seen it. Feel free to spoil it, though.
I don't know if I should. I felt that overall they should have taken out the filler and expanded the later episodes a little more. Because there were a couple of episodes that were just absolutely unnecessary for the plot or the characterization. But the ending, I think, could have been a little more, had a little more meat to it.
Mm-hmm. For that last episode, I would say all the way until the end, it was interesting. I had fun watching him, how he got. But the very, very end, the last few scenes, was too clean cut, or like everyone's happy type of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't go with how the show was. And it's nice to have a happy ending, but did more with how they built it up to that point.
Right, it didn't seem like the type of show that should have a happy ending. It seemed like a tragedy in the making.
With the type of show it was, I would almost say if they would have just left it open, like you don't know what happened at the end, it would have been good.
Yeah.
You could have been like, wow, what happened? What? It left you open up for whatever you could have imagined. But with it having that kind of ending, I think it kind of ruined it.
Mm-hmm. I think between this and Angel Beats, I liked Angel Beats better.
Yes.
Because the overall pacing was better. Is this had a lot of stuff that a lot of extraneous stuff they didn't need to put in there.
I've not seen the last 3 episodes of Charlotte. I'm trying to recall what happened in the immediate last.
Because he didn't.
Sorry,
Last
Tenkkun,
three.
I didn't know I was interrupting you because you blanked out again.
That's okay.
What were you saying? You popped in, then you said something about eye patch.
Oh, I was just making a joke that he didn't have one because like, he didn't die. So he deserved an eye patch, I believe.
Hmm.
But let me see the last three. No, his brother.
I think the last thing I saw was that he goes back in time to save his sister, and then he does it.
He saves his sister.
And then he saves his sister, and that's the episode, and that's where I left off. I think going into Charlotte, having seen some other Jun Maeda stuff, like one half of Angel Beats until I just couldn't take it, Cannon and Clannad, which I thought were like entertaining. I knew what I was in for. Like, okay, I'm gonna get something that's manipulative. It's tragic. It's gonna be kind of insufferable. I don't know. Charlotte was like a mixed bag for me. Like, some moments were really awesome. I love that episode where after his sister dies, and we all saw this coming. Barely a spoiler. That he goes off and just, he it's like he lost the will to live. And I think Jun Maeda is really good at like writing those kind of extreme emotions, those extreme, just seeing him go down the downward spiral and just like all the way to the bottom. Like, that was that was an awesome episode. I don't know, but so much of the rest of the show, like I didn't like well, the word isn't coming to me, but I didn't like its lighthearted moments. Like, I didn't like a lot of the lighthearted characters. Like, sometimes the Flash was funny, like Speedy Man. Sometimes he was just totally insufferable, and you just hated it when he opened his mouth to talk about idols. I don't know, the other idol girl, she hardly added anything. Yeah, I don't know. It's a really mixed bag. I can't really recommend it. Maybe it'll get awesome in the last 3 episodes, but I kind of doubt it.
Do you plan
Like,
on
it's already very convoluted.
to the end?
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten past the boring part of the show, and the rest of it is at the least going to be entertaining. It might not be fulfilling, or it might not be sensical, it might be infuriating, but at least I won't be bored.
That's a fair assessment.
Okay.
Well,
The first half of the show was kind of boring. I felt like a lot of those stories were ineffective, the side stories. Yeah, go ahead. That's all I have to say about Charlotte.
Yeah, other than the piss me off. It's just so they could see the main character's transformation, because he changes a lot, and that was pretty fun. But as far as the ending, though, like I said, it's only my personal opinion. I think they should have changed it. But
Yeah, I guess it is kind of fun watching the main characters. He starts out as a character who's seen nothing, and then seems like by the end of the anime he will have seen everything, like all manner of horror. Both within himself and also the tragic stories around him.
all right, let's see, what do we got next? Oh, this show. And we'll save the rest for next week, so hopefully we can have everyone. Kyohose no Kyokan. I would almost agree with them, but the only reason I can't say it's magical warfare quality is because I actually watched all of it.
Tenkkun, you
I
kind of
hated
blanked
magical
out,
warfare
so
so.
I'm just going to say that this title is, what the hell is it? It's Kusen Madoshi Kohose no Kyokan. Is this the thing that was called, like, Sky Magicians or something?
Sky Wizards Academy.
Sky Wizards?
Yes.
Makes me laugh. It's just like the atheist phrase for God or something, like Sky Magician. I'm like, what? There's an anime called this? But yeah, whatever. Sky Wizards.
This was the show that I would have said it was on par with magical warfare. There's some really bad parts in it where, like, they're fighting. I don't even know how to explain it. You should check out some of these fight scenes. I'll cue some up for you guys later, time it, and let you guys watch those. It's terrible. Some of the fight scenes.
In what way? Animation or story or?
Animation-wise and the story, I mean, I don't know how to explain the story. It's a hollow story, I would say. It has this, you have the main guy that you know that they're going to try to defeat, but most of it's up. It's so crazy. If you want this,
Sky Wizards. Is this Sky Wizards?
First episode.
Awesome.
I only watched the first one and had no desire to see the second episode.
you know, you have to watch that just to see how terrible these fight scenes are.
Yeah, if you send me the timestamps, I will.
But I'm timestamps to check out for this show. But it's, oh my god, terrible. If Tripoli were here, I bet he would agree with me because I think he was watching this as well. But
I don't know. He did like Arjivolin, didn't he?
Okay. Maybe there's some parts of Tripoli that's wrong, but
Sky Wizards.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, so don't watch it. That's why I brought this up, just so I could tell you guys. Tell them it's a great show. Don't watch it yourself.
So it's basically groping at 30,000 feet for 12 episodes?
Groping. I mean, the first step that labels him as a pervert, him making them do all these other things with embarrass them.
Sorry, Tenkkun, we can't hear what you're saying. You don't know what you're saying, or at least I don't. Your voice is
being made out.
I can't hear you either.
I would say perverted and yeah, don't watch this. Don't watch our hangout. Dumb. I'm going.
Hey Jessica, should I catch up with the Overlord? I'm probably behind like 3 or 4 episodes, and I don't know, just seem kind of bland lately.
Well, I will say that the last few episodes, they try and cram so much of the light novel into it that it goes by really fast, and I think they're cutting out a lot of stuff that happens. So, I mean, I like it because I really like the show, but I was disappointed with the last few episodes. So if you were underwhelmed by it, you might not like the last little bit.
Yeah, I think my problem with Overlord is similar to my problem with Gate. uh, in that it like I want it to be Tenkun's editing the title card there.